Love it or hate it, we're in the era of 2000s and 2010s reboots and revivals. Rugrats made a comeback. The Fairly OddParents is currently rolling out its new sequel series. Phineas and Ferb is about to continue their summer adventures. The Proud Family has been living it up on Disney Plus for quite some time. Adventure Time is back in action with Fiona and Cake. And now we may finally return to the mysterious town that is Gravity Falls, Oregon. As an executive at Disney has recently confirmed that they have been in talks with Alex Hirsch about creating a brand new Gravity Falls project. In an exclusive interview with the direct's Russ Milheim, while promoting the release of Big City Greens, the movie Spacecation, Executive Vice President of Television Animation and Disney Branded Television, Meredith Roberts, gave a hopeful update on a possible Gravity Falls revival. You know, we're in conversations with Alex. He's about to publish a book with Disney on his project. And we also do some shorts, so never say never. Of course, she's referring to the upcoming Book of Bill, a sequel to Journal 3 that's the first Gravity Falls book aimed at adult audiences, allowing the franchise to mature alongside its fans. As for the shorts, Dipper, Stan, Waddles, and Bill Cipher have all appeared in Chibiverse, so it's not like he parted ways with Disney when Gravity Falls wrapped up back in 2016. He's been pretty active since then. I mean, aside from Journal 3 and the Book of Bill, we've had Gravity Falls Lost Legends. He clearly is still attached to these characters in this world, so getting the chance to finally revisit Gravity Falls in animated form feels long overdue. I mean, hell, if something went into production this year, we probably wouldn't see it until 2026 at the earliest. 10 years since the show ended with Weirdmageddon 3. But what would this project even be? Because Hirsch has been adamant over the years that Gravity Falls Season 3 would never happen. But that's just it. I don't think a revival would necessarily be a Season 3. Gravity Falls isn't a show you could just pick up and continue like nothing ever happened. Weirdmageddon 3 was a pretty finite ending for this version of the show. I don't think it would be a Phineas and Ferb situation where Disney, Dan, and Swampy all say screw it and just make new episodes with the excuse of it being a different summer, but it's still the same Phineas and Ferb we know and love. This feels like it would follow in the footsteps of Adventure Time, Proud Family, or Steven Universe. The Proud Family has Louder and Prouder, something that is a separate series from the original, with a refresh in its art direction and cast of characters. Something that does try to be a bit more mature in storytelling, but is still the Proud Family nonetheless. Too bad it's a minefield to talk about on the internet. Adventure Time has released 2 separate series since the original ended with Come Along With Me in 2018. We've had Distant Lands, a miniseries comprised of 4-hour-long specials, focusing on different characters within the main cast. A special for BMO, a special for Bubblegum and Marceline, a special for Finn and Jake, and then Wizard City is a thing, I guess. Spin-off potential for sure. And then last summer we were gifted with the first season of Fiona and Cake. Something that elevated Adventure Time to an entirely new level, switching from an 11-minute to half-hour format, addressing loose ends from the original series, but still very much standing on its own. It's the first Adventure Time show to be considered a young adult animated series. With mild blood, swearing, and day drinking, our lead protagonist is an adult as Fiona is 30 years old. And while the original series had plenty of continuity, it was never as serialized as this. Every single episode advanced the narrative in a meaningful way, and by the end of these first 10 episodes, people were already asking where they could go from here. And there's also Steven Universe Future, something that's not a Season 6, but instead an epilogue series. And while there is a clear narrative surrounding Steven's mental breakdown, a majority of the episodes are either dedicated to a loose end from the original series, or sending off a character in their own dedicated episode, even if they still make appearances here and thereafter. It's a structure that wasn't perfect, but still pretty refreshing. But you get the idea. There's so many ways to tackle a new installment in the franchise that still lets the original series chill in its own corner. So if you don't like what comes after, you can just ignore it on rewatch. It's not like hate watching is a thing. There's no audience for people to talk about things they don't like, right? Why are you looking at me? Here's the thing though, it's no secret that Gravity Falls burnt out like everybody involved, including Alex Hirsch himself. So while it makes perfect sense that Disney would bring back the series, after all, Disney as a whole just wants to rely on the past, cranking out sequels to established bangers. And when it comes to their TV shows, Gravity Falls would obviously be the next in line after Phineas and Ferb. So I think to evade burnout, instead of jumping into a full-length season where him and his team had to keep track of 10 to 20 stories, they could just start with a special or straight-to-streaming movie, focusing on just one story. This isn't to say that making a movie is easier than making a full season of television. Both are ambitious and expensive projects, and both would still take a long time. But at least if Hirsch was burnt out after it, he can just simply take a step back once again, unlike where a new series, where there would probably be at least one more season after. A few years ago on the channel, I pitched my idea for a Gravity Falls Disney Plus movie, and I do think something in that vein would be a perfect fit. And if it's a hit, and if Hirsch is down, that could pivot into a new series. Personally, I do think the best call would be to age up Dipper and Mabel. They turned 13 in the series finale, so I think it'd be genius to pick up the story 5 years later when they're turning 18, now having to confront the future yet again. I think there's a powerful story here, with the uncertain state of the world, time slipping by our fingers, and the tendency to use nostalgia as a coping mechanism. Maybe Dipper and Mabel run to Gravity Falls whenever they need an escape from reality, reliving their childhood and idolizing their greatest summer, i.e. the events of the original series, much like how fans who grew up on the original show would rewatch it to be comforted by simpler times, reminiscing on what their life was like when Gravity Falls was on air. Not to mention, I still think there's a lot of unfinished business, like Bill Cipher's cryptic message in the final moments of Weirdmageddon 3. We never learned about that cult Stan was a part of, the Royal Order of the Holy Mackerel. Whatever happened to the Shapeshifter? Kean Carlisle answered this question in a fantastic fan episode that I personally consider canon, but I am itching to see Hirsch explore this. What are the Stan Bros up to? What's Seuss up to? If we're jumping a few years into the future, I think it'd be perfect if Seuss became a father, becoming the man his father failed to be. What's Wendy up to? And you know shippers would come out of the woodwork to get a crumb of Dipsifica in 2024. And if Disney is willing, I would love if they let Hirsch push the envelope even further than he did in the original and bump the rating up to either TV PG or TV 14. Hell, X-Men 97 was a hit, and part of why people loved it was because they finally got to see an X-Men animated series without any restrictions. There was no filter. And yeah, X-Men has the source material to fall back on, but Disney sees those numbers. And I know they're hearing about the kind of numbers Fiona and Cake pulled in. It was a beast, let me tell ya. So giving us a mature Gravity Falls would just be a smart business decision. And I know working with restrictions is part of why the show was so funny, but come on. We all want to hear Grunkle Stan drop an F-bomb.
I can swear for real!
We'll just have to wait and see if anything else comes of this. I know with the current state of the industry, it's a little depressing to think that Alex Hirsch couldn't get another show off the ground and had to go back to Gravity Falls. But at the same time, I think it's one of the few revivals people would accept with open arms. With all that being said, drop your thoughts in the comments down below, and keep the conversation going over on Twitter and Instagram at RoundtableVids and at AwestruckVox. Shout out to Hats Off Media for creating a banger thumbnail. Give some of his videos a spin. And if you enjoyed this video, please remember to like and subscribe to the Roundtable for more great cartoon content. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. See ya!